What would happen if one of the most prolific duos in manga history said, hey, let's do a new manga, but this time having more experience, less pressure from the magazine, and being allowed to do whatever they want. That's how Platinum End was born. Today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the new anime and manga by the creators of Death Note. Is Platinum End worth it? Platinum End's main character is an adolescent called Mirai Kakehashi. Mirai used to live a very happy life because his family loved him and he had friends. Everything a person needs. Everything changed when his parents died in a car crash. Mirai's aunt took him in because the kid had nowhere to go, but what followed was a life of abuse in every aspect of the term. Once he reached adolescence, Mirai had lost all hope in life. Undergoing a deep depression, like the one Hideaki Anno had when producing Evangelion, Mirai decided to kill himself. It sounds like a manga from Inio Asano, I know. Mirai jumps from a building, but he's saved by an angel. This is not a matter of speaking, he's actually saved by an angel. The angel is called Nase, and he saved Mirai because he wants to take him to an isekai. Nah, I'm just kidding. In Platinum End's world, there is a supernatural being called God. One day, this God decides he doesn't want to be God anymore, but his role as ruler of the universe cannot be left unattended. That's why God sends his servants, the angels, to travel to the human world. Their mission is to find a worthy heir to the throne of God. Nase is one of the 13 angels sent to Earth, and therefore Mirai is one of the 13 candidates to become God. Each candidate has different powers at their disposal, so they can taste a bit of the power of God. Some candidates have wings that allow them to fly at super speed. Others have arrows which they can use to make people fall in love with them and follow almost any command. And a few have access to white arrows which can kill instantly. There are 13 candidates, but only one can become God. You know what this means? There's going to be a battle royale. Yeah, Platinum End is a battle royale with superpowers, in part. Several teams are formed, the characters train their abilities and fight to the death. The element that differentiates Platinum End from your typical Mirai Nikki is that the characters have superpowers, but Oba and Obata, the creators of Death Note, know how to use them to make a parody of Super Sentai. Yes, the characters shoot laser beams while wearing very uncomfortable suits. But wait! Don't be scared. Platinum End's focus is not the one of a battle royale with superpowers because this manga has a very distinctive protagonist. Mirai doesn't want to fight for his life. In fact, he doesn't even want to live in the first place. Once Nase saves him, Mirai discovers that his parents didn't die in an accident. His uncle killed them. The boy wants justice and realizes his new godlike powers are very useful, but he doesn't want to use them for his own benefit. Mirai knows having powers isn't fair, and he knows making people fall in love with him so they follow his commands is even more unfair. Even though Nase promises Mirai he'll be happy if he wins the competition and becomes God, the boy doesn't have any intention in becoming God. He doesn't want to sit in the throne because he doesn't want to be an important person. He's not looking for divine justice or change in the world. He only wants to live a normal and peaceful life, avoiding major inconveniences. Any similarities with Denji from Chainsaw Man are only a coincidence, or maybe they're not. Mirai refuses to kill, and he won't use his powers except it's absolutely necessary. But Platinum End has a lot of crazy superpower action, so that's where the other characters step in. Platinum End's first main antagonist is Metropoliman, an adolescent with lots of money who decides to live a double life. To the press, the citizens, and the entire world, he's a superhero who saves people and uses his powers for the greater good. But when the cameras are not pointing at him, he searches for the other candidates to kill them. Metropoliman knows only one of the 13 candidates will become God, and he thinks the easiest way of winning the competition is killing his competitors. He's practical, I'll give him that. Other candidates don't want to have anything to do with all this godlike stuff and death battles like Saki, Mirai's romantic interest and probably best waifu of 2021. Other characters seem very cynical, but they have good intentions, like Nanato, a guy who works in fashion business and is willing to kill, but only to protect his family. As you may already be thinking, Platinum End's battles are not just "I'll throw this superpower at you, but you win thanks to the power of friendship." The battles are actually very well thought out, they include strategy, and they're extremely tense because they involve characters who are willing to kill in a blink of an eye, such as Metropoliman, and others who would rather die before killing another person, like Mirai. If we also take into account the different kinds of powers that characters can use, and the absurd amount of conditions and restrictions for using them, we'll realize the battles between god candidates can be just as interesting and intense as the mental battles between Kira and Elle in that anime in which people take potato chips and eat them. That's everything Oba and Obata can do? A battle manga? Well, no. Platinum End is more action-packed than Death Note, understanding action as people shooting lasers at each other, but it also has mystery elements, moments in which characters play the detective, awesome twists, and very powerful philosophical discussions. It's true that no character in Platinum End is as strong as a Light Yagami regarding characterization, but don't freak out! Subscribe instead! Don't you want to watch more videos about Platinum End? The characters of the most recent anime and manga by Oba and Obata work as representations of modern society. We have a character who doesn't want to kill and just want to make others happy. There are serial killers, people who want to live without having to work, people who feel they are superior to others, abusers, cops, good people, people who wanna be God, even before knowing about God candidates, and people who don't believe in God. You have everything here. This is important because it'll help us understand how Platinum End works. This is not a traditional manga. It's extremely experimental. Oba was allowed to do whatever he wanted to, and that's why the first chapters have walls of text, which may remind you of the latest chapters of Hunter x Hunter. Then you'll find a battle royale with superpowers, after that a romance story, then detective investigations, after that a whodunit story, and finally philosophical discussions about whether God exists or not, and if he should exist in the first place. Is it acceptable to kill in self-defense? What is happiness? Why people kill themselves? Why some people believe in God? Who are the ones in charge of beauty standards? Why is Nase so hot if he isn't even human? Nah, I'm not mad, I think. I'm still talking about the same manga. Maybe you think this disastrous synopsis makes the manga look like a mess, but Platinum End is not chaos itself. There are shifts in tone, rhythm and genre, but they are controlled. Oba wrote whatever he wanted to from start to finish, experimenting from the first page in chapter 1 until the last dialogue in the last page of the last chapter. When you get there, you'll get what I mean. Same thing goes for the art. Platinum End is easily the best manga Obata has ever drawn. His character designs are reminiscent of Death Note. In fact, Mirai looks as a carbon copy of Light depending on the angle, but Obata is completely unleashed here. In some occasions he uses the killing style of Death Note, but when he wants to make an impact and punch you in the face, he uses blacks and very dirty illustrations with also lots of details, almost as if he was imitating Kakisaki, the guy who drew Bestiarius and Hideout. In some panels, Obata wears perspective to make you feel uncomfortable. In others, he uses a hyper-realistic style to show you each detail of a character's face, and in other panels he uses filters to give a different atmosphere to the angels, the celestial realm, and God. The only detail that I don't consider excellent in the visual department are some of the action scenes, which are enjoyable, intense, and attractive to look at, but some panels may be a bit confusing at first sight, making some scenes hard to follow. Oh, and there's also lots of plot. They are very well drawn, and they're anatomically correct most of the time, but I felt they were there just for show and didn't add anything to the story. So, is Platinum End worth it? This manga is so accessible that I would recommend it to anyone, because it's easy to read, super entertaining, it deals with interesting topics, and has an excellent drawing. You should take into account that Platinum End has a misleading premise. This is not just a magic and battle royale manga. It has those elements, but also has romance, pretty intense and long philosophical discussions, including lots of comments about modern society, and also has mystery and mind games reminiscent of Death Note. If you only care for one of those elements, then Platinum End is not for you. But if you wanna see all of that together and well done, then you won't find a better manga than this one. If you wanna see all of that, then Oba and Obata made this manga for you. By the time of recording this, the anime isn't out yet, but in case Studio Signal MD does a good job, I'll also recommend you to watch the anime. If you want to avoid the walls of text, watching the anime would be a wise choice. Except they go the Cloverworks route. In the meantime, if you enjoy divisive endings, you have to read this manga. I could tell you what happened, but why spoiling that now when I can make an entire video about it? If you wanna know more about Platinum End, then subscribe. Except you've been hit by another candidate's red arrow. If you didn't read the manga, I'm guessing that just flew over your head.